That means we can't vote on anything?
No, you can. You've got
Oh.
a majority. You have. It can only be three, so
Okay,
2 of 3 is a majority.
all righty.
You can.
Well, I'm here and trustee Starter's here and trustee Morris is out due to traveling.
Mhm.
Moving on to agenda item 2.1, are there any public comments?
Yes, one.
Okay,
God, this was fast. Thank you so much. And my public comment is actually on an item on the agenda, but I'm very worried that maybe your discussion take longer than I have time today. So I thought I would like to say that right up front. The comment I would like to make is on the draft of the changes to board policy 2410. Board policies and administrative procedures. And if you go on page 2 of the board policy, you will notice that there are larger sections that are struck out. And what faculty are concerned about is that these strikeout basically include every mentioning of the BPAP committee. And that is a committee that you might remember, especially here in this subcommittee. We had quite a number of discussions about a year ago when BPAP was temporarily eliminated and then reinstated. I feel that with the new organization of BPAP that specifically Keller has been very involved in, it works really well. And so I want to make sure that striking out BPAP out of this policy does not mean that we are getting rid of BPAP.
No, not at all. Not at all. BPAP belongs in the AP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
There was no intention.
No.
I don't want to
No, sorry about that.
cut you off.
That's true.
Yeah.
Go ahead and finish.
Thank you. All right, I do want, since I had this comment now in here that BPAP belongs into the AP, that is possible. On the other hand, I would like to then take this opportunity and remind us on what happened a year ago when BPAP was temporarily eliminated. And the one main argument that we felt we had to keep BPAP alive is that it was actually rooted and documented in a BP, and mentioned in a BP, and that means eliminating BPAP would have violated BP 2410. If now the same thing happened again, and I'm not saying that this is intended,
No.
and BPAP is only mentioned in an AP and no longer in a BP, then, I mean, the AP, as you also are outlining here, APs can be changed very quickly and informally. And so I think the protection of having BPAP is stronger when it is mentioned in a board policy. The other comment that I would like to make is, and that is in the middle section, page 2. It reads,
Hold on.
additionally, any person, sorry,
You said page 2.
page 2.
Jason, can you open it? Can you?
Yeah,
Which one is this then?
So
2410? It is. Thank you.
yes.
Sorry, Ed, it's actually also, it's on the end of page 1 and then in the beginning of
Can you
page
just let us
2.
get us,
Oh, sure.
get it up on the
Yes,
screen?
no
Okay.
problem. Would love to. Thank you. Thank you
So
for,
we got all in the same. So you said towards the end of page 1.
yes.
Can we scroll a little bit? Okay, and starting with at new, are you talking about that part right there? Where it starts with a
The
new?
new board policy.
Uh-huh.
May I read it?
Yeah, sure.
All new board policies or substantive changes to existing board policies shall first be discussed by the board in draft after notice at a regular board meeting. After the first reading at a regular board meeting, the board may refer a policy to either its policy subcommittee, that's for further development, or to the district's participatory governance review process. And I'm a little bit worried about the "or" in this sentence, because I feel that it would be important that that should not be, it sounds like this is a free choice, but I believe for a vast majority of policy items, according to our BP 2510, as well as to the law, and as well as, for example, the CSE contract, it is mandatory that board policies are routed through the participatory governance
Okay,
review process to some extent.
okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. So I saw Dr. Magnar wanted to make a statement, and then Dr. Androgenis, and then Trustee Stoddard. But I just wanted to make a quick comment that we are not removing BPAP. That we're not.
Okay.
So and now I'm going to move
Can I
to,
make a point of order?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What should I have done?
Could you, as the chair, move item 5.5 to right after public comment? And
Yes,
that way we can actually have a
have a
dialogue.
discussion about that.
Cornelia has indicated that she has a timing issue.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think let's move it, and that way there can be a back and forth.
Got it. Okay, so and that requires a vote, or I could just make the recommendation?
You can make the recommendation.
So I'm going to recommend that we're going to move item 5.5, Board Policy 2410, right after public comment.
That is correct.
Okay, all right, now, Dr. Magnar, you want to go?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you very much. I appreciate being able to address this while Cornelia is able to be here.
Mhm.
I'm going to say that this recommended language change is significantly my suggested language. And I want you to understand the purpose of changing the wording district's participatory governance review process, because this is a board policy. We're trying very hard to make better, cleaner language that does not dictate an administrative or college level process from a board policy. So it is in fact the purview of the college to determine what our participatory governance process is. So putting participatory governance process in the board policy is an appropriate way to say whatever that policy, that procedure is, as stipulated by the college. No participatory governance is going to change without participatory governance. And I can attest to, there is absolutely no intention of getting rid of BPAP.
Great.
Last year's efforts notwithstanding, they were dealt with appropriately, and we are continuing BPAP. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to say, I'm looking at the wrong document, was your concern.
About the or.
Yeah, yes, so that I will defer to this body who will, to their language to develop. But my recommendation is, and this is actually something that I think we do need to discuss based on some things that happened at the last board meeting related to this, is the idea of the order is there's a first reading at the
Mhm.
full board.
Yes.
Because the full board owns the policy.
Mhm.
Yep. If the full board is in agreement with whatever recommendations or changes, roughly, maybe a word change here or something, nothing major, they may at their discretion
Mhm.
say, this is ready for the participatory governance
Right.
input. They may also say, as they did at the last meeting, quite a lot, we think there's some massaging here, and we're not going to do this in a full board meeting because we have too much work to do. We have a committee to do that work, so we are doing that. So this body may, and I suggest perhaps because of the ambiguity of the word or, you may want to massage my language so it's clear that either policy subcommittee and then DPAP or the participatory governance, or straight to board to participatory governance.
Okay, and
Sounds great.
now, I think, did you,
Yeah, that was gonna be my comment, that I think if it could be an and or then to
Mhm.
the participatory governance review process. And I think the reason it's important to keep that language is that there's no intent to change BPAP.
right,
But if a year from now, the college says, we're tired of the BPAP name, we think we want to change our block, we want to change our committee name to be X, we don't have to come back and correct it in a board policy because it is about participatory governance. So there is zero That is not what this is about. It's about clarifying and keeping in the board policy those things that are the purview of the board.
Mhm. And trustee Stoddard?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that, you know, the things that the board says, hey, you guys, you know, take them into committee, massage them, make them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go back to the board then, don't they? Or do they go to participatory governance first?
I think this is a very tricky thing that needs to
think
be
it does-
spelled out. That's. part of
Doesn't it
my-
depends on which policy it is?
So there is a moment in last board meeting.
Because we talked
where-
about this.
Where President Booth said, okay, these are going to the board to be passed.
Yeah.
And there was are they really though? Because there was a lot of discussion. And then what happens once this discussion happens? He mentioned a second first read.
Why?
So that, I think this is a very important point. Full board, if policy needs to discuss, can policy at its discretion send it to BPAP, or does it have to go to board?
And here's a good example.
Mhm.
There is not agreement between the policy committee and the board about the speakers
Correct.
board. And
Are we talking about the
so-
other policy, the speaker policy?
Yeah, so you
Okay.
know, we're not gonna talk about it this minute, but
Okay.
my point is that it was clear that there are board members who would like to retain the 5 minutes.
Yes.
And this policy committee has made the recommendation
Yeah,
of.
the 3 minutes, right.
So I think we could wind up boomeranging it, or if after today, the policy committee decides that it believes it should be 3 minutes rather
Mhm.
than 5,
Mhm.
then as a policy committee, you can send it to participatory governance.
Right,
And have the college weigh in.
right.
And then we'll go from there, because then there'll be more information,
Right.
understanding from participatory governance, how they feel
Okay,
about it.
okay, so, I'm gonna go next.
Mhm.
Okay, so we talked about this in length.
Mhm.
What is the process? And because other members of the board was concerned that policies and editing the policies would come to us first, they wanted to see the policies first. So we said, you know what, fine. All board policies, you know, will go to the board, and if they don't require massaging or more discussion,
Right.
then the board, the collective board will vote and either voted yes for the changes if it relates to like straightforward legal language according to legal updates, or it needs to go to BPAP if it's related to going to BPAP. But if it comes back to the committee, then that's our job to talk about it more, which is why we have, I think, 4 of the policies that was on the regular board meeting agenda. So that is my understanding. But you just mentioned that now I'm just talking about a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
We're discussing said policy. And after we discuss that policy and we make our recommendation, we as a subcommittee can say, okay, we think it should go to BPAP to get other key stakeholders' input. I think that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then when it comes, because you gotta wait 2 months anyway, right, before,
Well, and I think it doesn't mean that the full board is necessarily going to agree with whatever it is you all think. And then
Right.
it goes to the participatory governance, or maybe they will, because the participatory
Mhm.
governance groups weigh in at BPAP and say, oh, we think it should be this. Then as a policy committee, then, you know, when it comes to the board, you all can weigh in and say, well, this is what we thought, so we sent it to BPAP. And now, here's what BPAP thought, it either does support or it doesn't support, because ultimately, it's a vote of the full board.
right?
You're doing an important investigation
Mhm.
step, an important thoughtful consideration step,
Mhm.
but ultimately, it's that plus what BPAP says that then goes to the board and the
Mhm.
board makes the decision.
And I think that it's good practice when, if we're discussing a particular policy and we say, you know what, let's see what our other key stakeholders, what they think. It allows for us to show and practice by example to include everyone's input. And then if it goes back to the board and the board is still, you know, steadfast on one key thing, then, you know, it's by the vote,
Mhm.
you know, the outcome, but, I don't know about the second first read thing. I don't remember hearing that. The,
He mentioned.
he
You
mentioned,
mentioned it, but it's not in your.
it's not in our policy.
It's not in your
It's
policy.
a differential understanding.
Because aren't we still hashing out the steps?
Yeah, that's literally what this policy. is
Okay,
doing.
so,
Yeah.
back to,
The public comment?
yes, we're not getting rid of BPAP because you're part of the process. We needed to put in writing in perpetuity what it is this committee is supposed to be doing.
Okay.
That's really the main directive, because we didn't have that in writing. It's not an intention on getting rid of BPAP. It's the intentionality of describing what it is this committee is supposed to be doing.
Thank you.
So, yes,
I'd like to make a recommended language change.
sure.
If we could, on bottom of page 1 to
Mhm.
top of page 2,
Mhm.
after the first reading at a regular board meeting, the board may either refer a
Mm.
policy directly to the district's participatory governance review process,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
just changing the order.
Yeah.
Refer it
Or
to the
to the
policy
policy.
subcommittee for further development and investigation.
Yeah.
The addition of investigation puts some weight behind the work that you're gonna do. And then I think we do need to say something about what happens next. Because of the development and investigation, you are authorized to send it on to BPAP.
Mhm.
And then it can come for a second read. That's the part that I think we do. have to
All right.
about.
I like that. So we're going to have, the board may refer to the.
So it's a
partic-
reversal of the order.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a participatory governance review or the subcommittee.
Yes,
Okay,
I think it should say directly to the participatory governance.
Okay.
Which implies that's its normal route.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
or to the policy.
Divert it to whatever,
Yeah.
maybe we don't want the word divert.
And then we could just say if it went, you know, if the policy in question went back to our committee here, the
Yeah.
policy committee, the policy committee may send it back to the board or send it on to.
Yeah, so the same language.
Yeah,
When the policy
Yeah.
is sent to this committee,
Mhm.
following their discussion,
Mhm.
and they may either
yeah,
directly to BPAP or return it to the board.
yeah, I like that.
I have a question. Can you give me example of what kind of policy we would definitely say, okay, we need to send it to BPAP versus, okay, we need to send this back to the board?
Hmm.
Well, the one on the speakers, you know, how much
Yeah.
time, because the board's hashed that out. We don't need to go back to the board with that. We know where the board is. We need to hear how the
Right.
constituency groups feel about that one.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think that's about your development and investigation, because I think it's a judgment call for you all to say, well, I think the board isn't ready to make a decision until they've gotten constituent input.
Mhm.
Or we don't really know whether our discussion is gonna sway them. We don't wanna waste BPAP's time. I'd love for you to not waste BPAP's time.
because we're
If you
trying
feel
to
like-
minimize all these meetings. That's another reason why we wanted to create this language. Because we wanted to minimize all of these meetings. So we had a actual process and we followed the process. Now you're not coming here on a sunny day. That's one less meeting. Okay, I think we discussed it enough. Item 5.5 with great suggestion.
So is your recommendation going to be to send it now to BPAP?
Absolutely.
Okay.
BPAP?
So let's be clear.
With
With
Yes,
discussion.
The discuss.
Yeah.
Changes as discussed.
That's right.
So I move that we, I don't even know what number it is we're talking about.
2410.
Yeah, 20.
It's 5 point, the.
Item
oh,
5.5,
5 point, is that?
I thought 5.5.
5 point, oh, sorry.
That's okay.
So I move
Okay.
that we send that on to the BPAP committee with the suggested changes, the recommended changes.
please share with them, this is not to replace BPAP.
Well,
I
and-
will.
and I just, if I can add, this is part of, this year. Hopefully this fall, we will complete the revision of our resource guide to decision making. And so this will be very timely in terms of adding that to the BPAP, to the description of BPAP, because BPAP has to live in both the AP 2410 as well as within the resource guide.
Okay,
Both of which, the AP 2410 is top of the agenda for BPAP.
okay. Well, it looks like we are now on item,
The minutes, we need to do the minutes.
yes, can I?
Did you both agree, did you both agree to what?
Yeah, she first and I seconded.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Did you get that, Miss Rita? Okay. So now we are going on to agenda item 3.1.
Your minutes?
Hopefully everyone reviewed the minutes. I don't have any recommended edits.
No, me neither. So I move that we accept the minutes as written.
I second that. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Go.
All right. This is how board meetings should go. Okay. Item, you know what? I have a question. As it relates to the minutes, I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
So in the minutes, it lists board policy 3445, 3510, 3810, and 5050. So we discussed that at our last policy meeting.
Mhm.
Are they now gonna go to the board or are they going to BPAP?
So, I'm sorry, which ones were you reading? I'm
So
sorry.
in the minutes,
Yeah,
it,
under consent agenda? Or
uh,
no?
let me go to the minutes, hold on. It mentioned that and those board policies. So I just want to make sure I had a good idea of how our process is flowing. Where are those policies going to go now? Are they going to go to the board or are they going to go to BPAP?
So delegation of authority, animals on campus, workplace violence, claims against the district and student equity and achievement program. I think those,
Rita is the brain of the operation here. Those were an anomaly last year that went to BPAP before they went to the board, which
Yeah.
is not gonna happen in the future.
that's
So
right.
BPAP had already reviewed and the board, you sent it back to the board has passed them, they are.
Okay.
They're passed. Yeah,
So these are finished.
they're done.
Okay, thank you.
But in the future, it won't happen.
It
like
won't
that.
happen in that order,
Okay,
right? Right.
That was a rookie mistake
No, I just,
last year.
that's why I was, okay. All right, so now we are on to consent agenda, which is board policy 5035, 5040, and 54, just those two, right? Am I missing something? It's just
No.
those two, okay.
And that's why we have, I think the Lamar here.
Yes, and I meant to say hi, but the meeting started exactly at 4 o'clock when you sat down. I wasn't being rude.
I did have to listen.
Okay. So, VP Arnold, you wanted to talk about them?
I'm happy to talk about them if there are questions.
Oh, okay.
Oh, because I believe there were questions at the.
Okay, I'm glad.
50/40.
Okay, so let me go to my
Oh,
email.
directory.
there was-
information and
there-
privacy.
There was some questions doing where's my email? Here it is.
Blackbirds.
And actually, it looks like I got a
We don't have
response.
50/40 on our agenda today.
Under
4.2.
consent, 4.2 is 50/40.
I got 5035 and I got 5040.
Oh, I wrote down 20/40. Okay,
You-
sorry.
They got printouts over there. You
Yeah.
need a printout?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Got a print?
Right. I don't think there were any questions regarding 50/35.
It was 54,
50/40, yeah.
So actually, the question was on 3501. I'd see it didn't make it on here.
Hmm.
But did I get the numbers?
30 on, as item 5.1.
Okay. So 50-40. The question about 50-40 was, is the language in the first sentence on the second page? So, trustee, Black Merritt's was concerned about us possibly being, having an issue if we are allowing students to go ahead and change their gender and their name without showing legal, I want to get to the,
Correct.
Mhm.
but then the next paragraph kind of like says you can't do it without showing.
So it depends on whether the student is a current student or a former student. For current students, we are not allowed to require legal identification if they choose to use a preferred name or a preferred gender.
Okay, hold on.
So that's in ed code, the new ed code. We can't require,
So that's the new ed code.
we cannot require
For a current student.
for a current student. For a former student who would like to change their transcript or diploma, we do have to ask for some type of identification, and then ed code lists the types of identification that we ask.
Huh.
We can have a driver's license,
Okay,
but for current students, they are allowed to change their preferred name and preferred gender, and we are not allowed to require legal documentation in order for them to.
while they're a current
While
student.
they're a current student.
Okay,
And so I think trustee, if I rewatched this portion of the board meeting.
yeah,
I think her concern was that not, if I can reframe it kind of, that if we didn't require them to show legal documentation, current students might be, changing their names easily, and it might cause difficulty for them later on down the
Yeah.
road,
yeah.
which may be the case.
Mhm.
And, we can't require the legal documentation. And I think part of the rationale for that too is that there might be undocumented students who don't have legal documentation. They may not have students may not have gone through a legal process yet to change their preferred name or preferred gender. So it is actually, there may be safety reasons exactly why they haven't gone through a legal process to change their preferred name or preferred gender. So it is actually the more equity focused language to not require legal documentation for a current student.
Okay. I also sent an email to Dr. O'Hara Anderson and Dr. Wright. They do the legal updates, and to just sum it up, they just basically said the same thing you said.
Okay.
There you
And
go.
that's from CCLC.
And that is from CCLC.
And I can forward you her email response if.
Fine, I would like to make one comment. I
Mhm.
believe that trustee Blackmert's concern was why strike diploma and broaden it to records? When in fact, what's happening here is they wouldn't have a diploma necessarily if they're a current student.
Right,
So it is about their current record.
yeah,
It is about their current records.
Yeah.
And so the current records are defined as their transcripts, their college issued email address,
Mhm.
their name on a teacher's roster, so that
Mhm.
they don't have to say in front of the class, oh, actually, my name is
Right.
XYZ.
And it makes sense because not everybody, because some students are getting certificates,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so we can take that explanation back to our next meeting, should it come back up? And hopefully you can help explain that if trustee Mertz needs more clarity. All right, any other questions about this?
Just a quick question about whether this needs to go to BPAC.
I don't think it does.
Well, it has, if it hasn't already gone to
It has
BPAC.
to.
Oh, it has
Go to
to.
BPAC.
So all board policies have to go to BPAP.
They should be reviewed by.
Okay, then send
Yeah.
it to BPAP then.
Yeah, so if it has already gone because it was one of those other ones, then we'll bring it back to a board directly. So it either.
Okay,
Okay, so then you want to make the motion?
oh, yes, so I move that I'm trying to think, that we approve of 50-35 and 50-40. Or can we do two at once, or should we do
Yes, we
separate?
do two at once.
Okay.
Mhm.
50, well, I approve the consent agenda. I move that we approve the consent. agenda.
And I second it. And you, and all in favor? I'm sorry, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so this
I
is,
think that the way to think about it is that BPAP has to look at everything.
Got
They
it.
have to look at BPs and APs. The board looks at BPs and does not look at APs.
got it.
So I think that's
I'm writing it
that's why
down.
it's BP, that's why it's BPAP, because they look at everything.
They have to look at everything.
Yeah.
See, you're included. You look at everything. Okay. Now we're moving on to, this is gonna be a quick meeting. I'm loving this.
We haven't gotten to the.
Discussion only, maybe possible action. We are on item 5.1. And I also inquired about that because trustee Croninger was concerned about the safe and effective.
So
And can you please, for the minutes, share what you're referring to?
So what I'm gonna refer to is, it are the accreditation standards. And the accreditation standards specifically state,
Mhm.
While you're looking that up, I just want to say whoever added all the ed codes and the accreditation standards to our agenda, that's really helpful.
Oh, I already sent an email saying strong work.
Okay,
okay,
that was you.
so accreditation 3.8 right there. Can you make it a little bit bigger, Jason? Thanks. Okay. 3.8 requires, you see the second sentence, the institution ensures safe and effective physical resources at all locations where it offers instruction, student services, and or learning supports. Now, what's to the right of that is the rubric that visiting teams use when evaluating how a college is meeting it. So if you see, the institution possesses appropriate physical resources.
Safe and effective, educational, operational. Mhm.
Yeah, the institution possesses it and they demonstrate the ability to achieve the institution's educational block.
Mhm.
The institution possesses safe and physical resources and the physical resources are regularly evaluated. So basically, I get her concern, but this is an accreditation requirement. End of story.
Listen, I've been to all of these legal updates since coming onto the board. And like I said in the meeting, and I'm gonna say it again, they overemphasize that these are legal requirements.
Yep.
To ensure that we have an accreditation process that allows us to pass
And
the mark. So,
And if we don't, then when the visiting team, when the visiting team comes, hopefully they won't, all of our things will be great. They can do that assessment. They can look at, we have an area of inquiry. 3.8, we saw what you wrote in your ICER and we're gonna check it out. And then they'll evaluate us according to this rubric, initial, emerging, developed, highly developed. But we can't say, hey, we're not sure what we have is safe. We have to say, this is what we provide, and then we will get judged as initial, emerging, developed, or highly developed.
I have, one of the things that they suggested during the legal update, workshop was, how at the bottom of the board policy, it has when it was adopted, the last time reviewed, the last time it was revised. I mean, we don't have to, but do you want to put down there, refer to that document right
It's
there?
above there. It's in ACCJC accreditation standard.
Oh, it's inside the,
At the top.
oh,
No,
got
at the
it.
top of the
It says it right there, yeah.
3501. So that's
Okay,
the standard. And
okay.
then what we're referring to there is how the teams who visit would assess the institution. And if the team comes and says, yeah, we saw a bunch of holes in the ground and people falling into them,
Mhm.
then they might say, we think there might be a problem with your compliance with, standard 3.8.
Okay,
But we have to articulate that we understand that that is the expectation. So I understand trustee Croninger's issues, especially as an attorney, former
Mhm.
attorney, I get it. I live with one. And we can't write policy for the worst, you know, the lowest common denominator. We have to write it for what we're supposed to be doing. That's my
I'm
argument.
all about following the rules. Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, so do we need to vote to send this to BPAP as well?
It's time to go to BPAP on this.
Okay,
So I move that we send on,
item 5.1.
board policy 3501
Mm-hmm.
to the BPAP committee.
I second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. BPAP it goes. All right, next item is item 5.2. I really don't see what the discussion is here. I just don't.
For 6250.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't have any problem.
I mean,
Well, do we recall what the issue was?
Trustee Richards wanted to know why is it 5% and not the 15% or the 20%? Trustee Croninger gave a little bit of
Mhm.
context. I gave some context, but according to the standard, we need to have it in writing that we have at least 5%.
Right.
So we're just doing what we're supposed to be doing as far as the language.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yes.
And especially because you reference BP 6305 that explains exactly how you classify your reserves.
Yeah.
I think, yes.
To be honest, I think when I said, let's send it to the subcommittee, I should have said, let's send those three policies and not all of them,
Yeah.
because it wasn't really an issue for this one.
That's
He
fair.
he just wanted context.
Yeah.
It's one information.
Yeah, so,
But no harm,
yeah,
because PPAP wasn't meeting between anyway, so it would.
So
be-
now BPAP can have the
Right.
conversation.
Right.
So does this one go to BPAP now?
Sure does.
yes.
Okay, so I move that we, our committee, approve 6250 and send it to BPAP.
I second it. Any discussion? Yes.
I just have a comment, and that is the 6305 that is referenced in this policy. And 6305, in case you looked at it, it lists lists the 5%, it lists the
Mhm.
minimum
Yeah.
reserve. It also lists, and that is my point, the minimum, the board requested minimum reserve for the construction fund as
Yes.
well as for the equipment fund.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to kind of like throw this out here that we have heard it, that Vice President Renbarger in the budget workbook advised us that the equipment fund is now no longer the equipment fund, but because of a state naming requirement, it's now the capital outlay fund. And also, it does not only include equipment, but it also includes I think, a substantial amount for the PE building.
Mhm.
So I just want to say this here, that we are aware, and maybe that the board potentially wants to review this minimum 1.5 million requirement that you set back in the days when it was only the equipment fund, and it's not longer only equipment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for bringing it up. I did look at the policy though, just to make sure that I knew what we were talking about. As far as, so to make sure I heard you correctly, the minimum that was set was a minimum that was brought up prior to us now creating this
Yeah.
PE building, and you are softly suggesting that we might want to reconsider that set minimum because we're going to have this new PE building?
No, because of the renaming and somehow changing of the equipment fund.
Oh, because now it's not just the equipment, it's this other stuff too.
Right.
Okay, yes,
May I thank you for your comment and encourage you as a concerned citizen to press the red button and suggest
Oh, yeah, the red
Yes.
button. I know.
Press
That's right.
the red.
That would give us a
Button.
record of
Okay.
that. That would be really helpful.
Okay, I will do that. I
So
will.
we're gonna be looking
First time,
for that.
press the red.
Thank you, press the
Yeah.
red button.
So you were advised. See, that's part of the BPAP process. Advised, I got it right here, advised to press the red button. Okay, well, we are done the discussion. We got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so moved. All right, so now we are on item 5.3, Board Policy 2350. Now, there was a mentioning of this policy and the 5.4 Board Policy 2345 contradicting each other. And I was looking at it and here's my example. Oh, 2 more pages. Oh, the only thing I saw that was contradicting was on the, we're on, which one are we on? 2350, that's one we're on now, 2350?
Yes.
Yes, so 2350, it says, and submit to the executive assistant to the Board of Trustees an electronic or paper request form titled request to address the Board of Trustees. The form may be submitted prior to the call of order of the meeting and no later than the board's reconvening from their initial closed session. However, on the other one, the words are not exactly the same. It says, well, first it says, the title is correct, request to address the Board of Trustees and submit to the clerk. We got clerk versus executive
Yes.
assistant.
It should be executive assistant, and I think that language might come from, there are districts like the district I came from.
Got it.
There's a president, a vice president, and a clerk of the board, and the
Oh.
clerk is a trustee who's like in the leadership train there.
Oh,
And they're the ones, like, you know how
Okay.
trustee Aboud receives all of the public comment cards and he's the one
Yes.
that goes through it. In districts that have a clerk designated, it is the trustee who is the clerk. Who
Got it.
receives those notifications.
Okay.
And is the one who invites people up to speak.
okay, so, well, because we don't have that here, can we make sure the language is the same for
Yeah,
those two areas? Okay, and then the other one, it has here,
Liz.
oh, okay, I see you, Liz, let me just finish this one last thought. We have here on Board Policy 2345, must be at least 72 hours, but we don't mention anything about 72.
but, right, because that is, I believe that
That's what it
relates to members of the public may place items. on
Oh,
the
okay, I'm
prepared
sorry, yeah,
agenda in
okay.
accordance with 2340. So in order to do that, and this is in conformance with 2340.
got it,
A written summary of the item must be submitted to me at least 2 weeks
okay,
in advance prior to the board meeting. The summary must be signed by the initiator and so that's that piece.
That's for that, okay.
Why,
my apologies.
right, because that's somebody who says, well, I want to put an item on the
Got it.
business agenda.
Okay, then, Liz, I didn't forget about you. And then the other thing is, so the committee, our subcommittee, we agreed to the 3 minutes. And we said, well, we got to make sure the math is mathing. So we got rid of the 20 minutes and made it 21 minutes. So, okay, but we also said, well, what if the person who need more time, it also says at the discretion of the
Right.
president, he can give more time. So why are we harping over this 5-minute thing? I say, let's just fix the clerk to executive assistant and send it to BPAP. And now I'm done talking.
I agree.
Okay.
And trustee Starter agrees, and Liz,
Yeah.
yes.
Is it my turn now? I just wanted, I made a
We're
comment
gonna
with
mute
this.
it. We can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Oh,
Is that us?
you can't hear me at
I don't
all?
know.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see. Can you hear me now? can you hear me now?
Yes. But it's low.
Okay, sorry. It was my computer.
Wait a
I,
minute, it's your.
I
now.
just wanted to comment on the 3 minutes versus the 5 minutes. I mentioned it at the board meeting when it came up some months ago. It's
Mhm.
just that, and I know it's the board's decision, but it's been 5 minutes for ever since I started working at the college. And it just seems like it may appear to the public that you just don't want to hear everybody long enough. And also, the board has never stuck to the time limit of
No.
of the 20 minutes for number of items. So I just don't want the public to think that you don't really want to hear them all. And sometimes most people don't need more than 3 minutes, but some people really do. And so I wouldn't want people to think that you just didn't want to hear the ones that really had something that they felt they really needed to say. So I mean, I'm on BPAP, so I can bring it there too, but I just wanted to mention it here since I did mention it at the board meeting when this came up before. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Um, I could see how someone may think that, but I also can see that a majority of all the other boards, and I'm talking about other boards like school boards and city council, they're all 3 minutes. And again, I've never seen, I mean, if someone was adamant about expressing themselves and needed more time, we gave them more time. And I've seen, I mean, I forgot which meeting it was, like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, it was like 10 people. I mean, because if you, according to this policy, if it's 21 minutes for one item to speak on, that's actually only 7 people that can talk. There was like at least 10 people, and we didn't say, okay, we are only going to hear up to the 7th person. We didn't do that because we gave everyone an opportunity to speak. So I'm still stuck on, let's move this forward and see what the other key stakeholders have to say about it.
Okay,
Oh, I think you can move it forward. I just wanted to say, what I've noticed over the years, and maybe everybody else does 3 minutes, but we have done 5 for decades. So I just wanted to bring that up since I've been at the college so long.
I would like to move that 2350, we approve 2350 here today and send it on to BPAC.
I second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. All righty. We are now on.
2345.
I'm getting
Public participation.
Ahead of myself. What item number is that?
2345, it's 5.4.
5.4. Okay, there we go, right there. Okay, because this one was item 5.3. Okay, item 5.4, yes.
It's related to 2350 speakers, that there
Mhm.
was some recommendation of combining the two. But we made the recommendation to this body that because 2345 is legally required, and because of the exact confusion that just happened between the distinction between public speakers versus someone putting an item on the agenda, that these remain separate.
I agree.
That was our recommendation. Well,
Yeah, me too.
I agree. Okay, any other discussion? I don't see any hands. All righty.
I would like to move that we approve 2345 and send it on to the BPAP committee.
I second that. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on. Okay,
So we already did 2410.
yes, and now we on items for future consideration.
Yeah.
Look at that. Whew. Get to be, okay, I get to go home and cook dinner and the sun is still out. All right, items for further consideration. So item, board policy 2200. Now this is just for further consideration. It's not for us to discuss, right?
not today.
Oh, well, I guess I am ahead of myself.
But I actually have an item related to this. if
Okay.
I may.
Yes.
I mean, I think the idea behind items for future consideration is to also determine whether there's anything else to add. But in this instance, items 2200 and 2715.
Yes.
They're not coming to you because of legal changes or anything. They were items that are coming to you for your development.
Yeah.
And so in order to make sure you have all the resources and tools that you need, we wanted to make sure that, do you have the trustee handbook from the CCLC? Do you all get
Oh,
a
yeah,
copy of it?
Mhm.
Okay. All
yeah.
right, then we were gonna make sure that Rita got you a copy.
Wait.
Have it.
Wait.
Yes.
Okay, so are you talking about the one that they just made into a spiral book? You talking about that book?
I don't know how they deliver it to you.
Because before it used to be a regular book with the glue spine and now it's a
Yeah,
spiral
now
one.
I think it is a spiral book.
No, I don't have the latest one. Will the district give me the latest one?
I don't think we have a supply of them, but we can check online.
Yeah, it's online,
Okay.
Oh, will you send it?
because mine is falling apart and it's old.
So I think that means that we should send it to all three of the policy subcommittee
Yeah.
members.
Yes, but I think the new trustees, I think you gave them one already.
I think I did give.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, Rita's gonna send it,
Yeah.
online, so
Electronically.
no biggie.
yeah.
yeah. And if you ever want something printed like that, we can always get it printed for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like the spiral one. I'm brick and mortar. I can't read on the computer. I just can't do that.
I can read it online,
I can't. I will start multitasking. Okay,
but okay,
Sure.
so that was 22 and 27, right?
Yes.
But are we gonna talk about 71? Because I felt like, 7100.
oh, I love 7100.
It's an item for future consideration.
It's very rough.
And it needs to be developed.
I
So
see.
if,
And you
and
just wish you
then-
could send it to,
actually,
Right.
if you are ready for it to be on the agenda for discussion, we need, they can be working on the.
let's put it on the,
Drafts?
what's wrong?
And the full board would need to.
Look at it first.
Yeah, so why don't we get it on the full board's agenda? Let's get it in.
Here.
Can we clean it up a little bit first?
Well, it has to go to them first. Remember the process. It goes to them first and then they give it back to us to massage.
Okay.
So you can come prepared at the meeting
I am.
that you believe that in the best interest of all of us, that they send it to the subcommittee so we can massage it.
Right.
So do you want it on next week's agenda?
No,
No. Okay.
no, I'm not ready. The next one, the next month.
September 11th.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the next agenda, I'm already ready for that meeting and mentally, and this is heavy. And I gotta prepare my speech, because it sounds like you're gonna bring a speech. I'm gonna have to prepare my speech
Wasn't that
to
the
counter your speech. Should we put on here, remember we keep talking about it, creating some kind of policy as relates to the retroactive payment thing? Did we need to create a policy on that or something, or no?
You mean approval of retroactive?
Yeah,
So.
I mean, if we don't, then we don't.
I don't think we need a policy. I think the
Okay.
fact is, I know that you all don't like to do retroactive approvals, and I think we have done a better job.
Oh, yeah.
Cutting down on
You have.
them. And usually when you do have a retroactive approval, it's because,
Yeah.
something
Usually
happened.
IT,
Yeah,
IT stuff, yeah.
IT or,
yeah.
related to like the swing space.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would prefer to not have.
Okay, Sounds like a good
policy related
idea.
to that.
okay. Well, do you have any recommended board policies for
No.
future?
No, I'm good.
You don't have any hands up? Well, I would like to adjourn the meeting at
All right.
4:53.
Very nice. Good.
And I would like to remind everybody to take tomatoes.
I will take
because
tomatoes.
I had
Very
a new
excited.
freezer. I have so many tomatoes.